If you're looking to kill and finally get rid of that stubborn body fat, this is going to be the video for you. So keep watching, and I'm going to take you through an absolute breakdown of every single thing that you need to do in order for you to achieve your fat loss dreams. If you're sick of overcomplicating fat loss, this video is going to be your solution. I'm going to break down the simplest and the fastest ways for you to kill your stubborn body fat. Hopefully without starving yourself, hopefully without the hours of cardio, and hopefully without wasting time, and we can get you straight into burning body fat. We'll cover the most common mistakes that slow fat loss, how to stay consistent, how to make fat loss very, very easy and more manageable, and hopefully not miserable. But first, who am I for you to even listen to me? I'm an IFBB pro, a professional bodybuilder called Josh Bridgman, in case you were wondering. And I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been a professional bodybuilder for 6 years. But more importantly, I've been coaching people just like you for 10 years now, a decade. I've coached thousands of people just like you over the years. People just like Marissa, people just like Warren, and people just like Alan. They all had one thing in common. They had a problem, they needed it fixed. They came to me, they listened, we fixed it. And a lot of the methods that I used to help these guys and girls over my last 10 years of experience are going to be in this video, fully explained. So without further ado, let's get into it. The big problem a lot of people face is just overthinking fat loss. I think a lot of people who are trying to lose fat are overwhelmed. They're jumping between diets, they're cutting carbs, they're doing random workouts, they're trying to listen to 20 different fitness influencers at a time, and it's just a lot of conflicting information. I'm going to try and make it as clear cut as possible in this video. You don't need to suffer, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to follow a simple plan that's effective and that works within your lifestyle. Remember, these guys and girls that you're following on Instagram, on YouTube, it's their job to look amazing. So often what the advice that they give doesn't always correlate to all the people watching this. So I'm going to allow it to be digestible for you. So the foundation of a fat loss phase, how to lose body fat, you guys know watching this, is a calorie deficit. So you have to be in a calorie deficit. This basically just means burning more calories than you eat. And if you're not doing this, nothing else matters. Literally nothing else matters. You can do all the cardio in the world and you can undo it with food very, very quickly. So it's very, very important for you to get into a calorie deficit. A really easy way for you to find out if you're in a calorie deficit or not: weigh yourself every day for a week, eat the same amount of food for a week, do the same amount of activity per week, whether that be training, cardio, walking, or all three. That will tell you where you are. If you don't lose weight, you stay the same, you're at maintenance. If you gain weight, you're in a surplus. If you begin to lose weight, you are already in a calorie deficit. Now, it's important to know while you might be a little bit hungry in a calorie deficit, you don't have to be starving. You just have to have some strategic plans in place for you to mitigate that hunger and try and stay full and try and stay motivated for that calorie deficit. Though it's not easy, I get it. Some of the biggest piece of advice that I have just off the bat: eat 3 or 4 high protein meals a day. Like, protein is the most satiating macronutrient that we have. It's also got the highest thermic effect of feeding, which basically just means that it takes more calories to burn and digest it than any of the other macronutrients, which is very, very important when it comes to thinking about how full can you stay, how much hunger can we stave off. Protein is a big key component of that. The next thing is going to be load that plate up with vegetables for a few reasons. Now, before we get into it, it doesn't mean that you need to overeat vegetables so you have digestive issues, or that you overeat vegetables so that they put you into a calorie deficit. It's very, very important to know that all calories matter, no matter where they come from. If you overeat anything to put you in a calorie surplus, you will begin to gain body weight again. And that's very, very important to know. So instead of ramping up your vegetables in a deficit, which a lot of people do, and which actually what it does is adds calories to your total calorie level per day, I want you to strip that back and have the same amount of vegetables every single day. Why are vegetables important? Well, they provide fiber, which keeps you fuller for longer. But most importantly, they give you micronutrition. And quite often, the body begins to crave when it's got poor micronutrition, because it needs that. It's telling the body to eat so it can get the micronutrition. So if you're covering yourself with either supplementation or covering yourself with good vegetables, a wide variety of vegetables, you're going to be doing yourself a favor. They can also help regulate both ghrelin and leptin, which are going to be your hunger hormones, which regulate cravings and also your hunger. So very, very important that if you can fulfill your micronutrient needs, you will hopefully just keep those 2 hunger hormones a little bit more stable. The next thing is going to be like cut out liquid calories. These are great for digestion, great for quick meals, great to increase your appetite. But during a cut, it does the opposite. It digests quick, it keeps you hungry, and I'd much rather you eat your protein rather than drink it through a protein shake, and I'd much rather eat your carbohydrates rather than just get them through a Gatorade or something. And also don't be using meal replacements because they're just going to be going straight through you very, very quickly. And I want you to focus on single ingredient food. This is going to be your superpower. Single ingredient foods will keep you fuller for longer and hopefully cover more of your micronutrition needs, which will then again stop those hunger hormones fluctuating so much. Some of the tools that you can use to help stay on track with your nutrition. MyFitnessPal is great for macros and calories, but Chronometer is going to be something that tracks your micronutrition, which for me offers something a little bit more in depth. It shows you what levels of vitamin D, B, all those different vitamins that you need. It actually shows you how much the amounts are in different amounts of the food. So if you put in your 100 grams of banana, your raspberries, your yogurt, it will give you all of the vitamins and minerals that are in there so you can match or at least try and beat your daily requirements or your daily needs. So those two are my favorites, Chronometer being my most favorite. Now, we already mentioned high protein intake. It does, offer a lot of value, preserves lean muscle mass in a deficit, which we know builds metabolism, which we know keeps muscle, which again keeps metabolism. High thermic effective heating keeps you fuller for longer. And I would go for about 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 2.2 grams per kilo minimum, depending on which side of the metric system you fall. So that's food. You guys understand that now. The next thing is going to be strength training. Now, strength training torches body fat. It builds muscle. It increases resting metabolic rate, burns calories. So a big calorie burner, also provides all those things I just mentioned, prevents your body from burning muscle in a deficit. What it really does is it sends a signal to your body to keep muscle. So when you consistently lift something up and down every single day, that's what we do, we lift things up, put them down, your body is being told that it has to do this every day. So if you're going to get rid of some weight, which we're doing because we're in a calorie deficit, make it body fat, because the body fat is not helping us on that journey. So you can now begin to piece the pieces of the puzzle together. When it comes to strength training, losing fat, for sure. Losing weight, easy. Just eat less, do loads of cardio. You're going to lose weight. Losing body fat requires strength training, because strength training is going to be the thing that tells the body, we need this muscle, do not let it go. So this is the importance of strength training. Something like 3 to 5 times a week, depending how much time you got available, depending how serious you are about this. Somewhere between the middle is probably optimal for most people. Compound lifts, progressive overload. If you need some more information about how to structure your training programs, go through my other videos. I've got plenty of videos about how to do that, and consistently focusing on progressive overload. One of my secret weapons in this video that I wanted to save to the middle is going to be daily NEAT. This is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is just like the small things that you do that you don't necessarily think about. This is all movement outside of formal exercise or cardio. This could be steps, it could be standing, it could be fidgeting. Did you know that if you bounce your leg, you can't see me, but I'm bouncing my leg, you can burn hundreds of calories extra per day. It's so powerful because it can burn a significant amount of calories without all the fatigue that cardio would bring or training. And we're already bringing a lot of fatigue with those two. So if you go out and you walk maybe 8 to 12,000 steps a day, you are burning like 500 extra calories per day. But a super simple way, because we can walk very, very easily. So do not sleep on NEAT. I think it's one of those things that can really help. This is a standing desk that I've got my microphone attached to. So quite often I will put my desk up to the top and I'll stand. When you stand, you burn more calories. You look at an elevator, you look at some stairs, you take the stairs. You go to the shops, you think about parking right next to the door, you park further away. Like, those are very, very simple techniques and things that you can do to increase that NEAT per day. Now, you're doing all this exercise, maybe you're increasing your NEAT. There's a missing piece of the puzzle there that will quite literally melt fat off you, and it's hydration. Would you believe it? But fat metabolism requires water. Liver processes stored fat. Hydration helps to flush the byproducts. Like, you literally need water to get rid of things. Which is very, very important. So if you can focus on getting 2.5 to 4 liters per day, hydrate before your meals, it's going to improve your satiety and it's going to improve your digestion. And most importantly, hydrate before you perform, because a lot of fat loss, remember, not weight loss, but fat loss, is all about performing in the gym really well. If you go to the gym and you perform not as good every single day, your body has way less reason to keep that muscle. Remember, we were talking about that signal earlier in the video. So you go in, you do 100 kilos for 10 reps. Your body knows that next week I'm probably going to do 100 kilos for 10 reps. So we've got to keep that muscle. But if you go in, you're poorly hydrated, you have a poor performance, maybe you do 100 kilos for 7 reps, there is 3 reps less reason for your muscle to be there. So your body will down-regulate your muscle to achieve the 7 reps. If you lose again to 4 reps, it's going to down-regulate again. So it's very, very important that you do these things to maximize your training performance so that you can keep that signal strong and keep the well-earned muscle that you've got. The next thing is going to be quality sleep. Now, lack of sleep raises cortisol, it raises those hunger hormones that we talked about before, so it increases ghrelin and decreases leptin. Leptin is what makes you feel full and satiated. Ghrelin is what makes you feel hungry. So if you've got like high stress hormone, high hunger hormone, low satiety hormone, like it's a recipe just to binge and be super, super hungry. People think sleep is for the weak. No, sleep is for the people that want good results. So try and get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, dark room, cool temperature, quit blue light about an hour before bed. Those are 3 really simple techniques that can help you get to sleep. And just know that if you sleep, you will melt body fat off quicker. You will build muscle quicker. You will get to your result quicker. So do not cut on sleep. Now, I mentioned cardio a little bit. Cardio can be optional, but it's very, very useful to burn a lot of extra calories without having to have really low food. So if you love food, put some cardio in, and you're going to find that you can actually burn a lot of extra calories while not having to go super low on food, which is great. I think the best type that you could do is going to be LISS, low intensity steady state cardio, incline treadmill, Stairmaster, whatever, cross trainer. Keeping your heart rate about 130. This is just going to ensure that you don't absolutely wreck yourself. I think if you did HIIT or high intensity interval training, you start sprinting on bikes, you start sprinting on things, you're going to create muscle damage, you're going to create fatigue, you're going to impair performance. And we've already had our spiel about performance. LISS is much less impactful on performance. So if you are going to do cardio, start with LISS and then build up over the week. I mentioned a little bit about stress here. So chronic stress will elevate cortisol just chronically, which will just store body fat super easy, especially like belly fat. If you're someone who hangs a lot of body fat on their belly, on their hips, maybe their lower back, this is like classic cortisol, high cortisol symptoms. So maybe you go for a daily walk without distractions. Maybe you start to do some deep breathing, some meditation. Maybe you go have a laugh with the boys or the girls. Maybe you have some human connection. It's massively underrated. In fact, in the blue zones, which are areas of the world which has the highest population of people living over 100, one of the things they drew in correlation with all of those places is that they all laugh and they come together as communities and they have human connection. So if that's not a warning sign to spend more time with people, I don't know what is. Underrated thing that you guys are going to hate: consistency over time. Fat loss is a slow burner. You need at least 6 weeks to build habits, maybe 12, 14, 16 weeks to get rid of the body fat that you want. You've got to track your weekly weigh-ins. You've got to track your progress with photos. You've got to track your strength levels. You've got to track how clothes fit. You've got to track, most importantly, how you feel across all of those things. It's very, very important. Avoid extremes at all turns. If you start to extreme cardio, extreme diet, quite often it's a bit like an elastic band. You pull it back, you get a lot of tension and you might get those results, but as soon as you let go, boom, you can slingshot and you could massively undo the progress super, super quick. And I've seen this happen time and time again. So if you can properly manage your fatigue training, nutrition, hydration, all that type of stuff, and do it consistently and spread it over a long period of time, you have a much better chance of success long term. Now, I've left these last 2 to the end because I think they're the least important, because I think people are going to want to run to these, but you can have strategic diet breaks and refeeds. They basically replenish leptin, thyroid hormones, maybe even sex hormones. It also just acts as like a mental reset. So if you find yourself feeling burnt out, training is rubbish, no body fat is coming off, sleep is getting worse, hunger is just crazy, actually taking a strategic diet break can be really, really helpful for you long term, because it's just going to allow you to take that step back. It's going to allow the body to replenish its glycogen. It's going to get some energy back. It's going to get its mojo back, and it's going to allow you to push a little bit further. Roughly, you could probably do this between 8 and 12 weeks. If you get to week 8 and you feel good, keep going. If you get to week 11, you feel good, keep going. If you get to week 8, you feel trash, okay, maybe you just take your body off for a week or 2, and all you would do is raise your calories to maintenance, primarily from carbs. Your protein and fat could probably stay very, very similar. Bring those carbohydrates up. Watch yourself recover. Watch yourself feel better. Watch fat loss get easier. Watch training get easier. Watch cardio get easier. And then you can go back into that deficit once you're kind of replenished after a week or two. Sometimes you could do it a little bit longer. Then supplementation. I would use supplementation to fix micronutrition deficiencies. So common fat loss blockers are low vitamin D, magnesium, zinc. Iodine is very, very important for your thyroid function. So you could get iodized salt, you could get some CMA, zinc and magnesium, maybe get some vitamin D and K2. And then you could supplement those, which could just help support those hormones that affect your fat loss, testosterone and thyroid. You could get sunlight, you need to salt your food, you need to eat real, colorful, diverse food. And there are things that can help with performance like caffeine, L-citrulline, beta-alanine, but those are probably a whole separate video that we could go into. Supplements for fat loss. I'm sure it'll get more views than this one. Then we can talk about meal timing and frequency. Again, not super important, not critical, but it can help you adhere. So if you have regular protein feedings, if you split your food across the day, it can just like top up the hunger. It can top up the satiation with the protein. And I think you can get a little bit further by having more meals. Depending how hungry you get, if you're much more of a hungry person in the evening, you could take more of the calories of the day and put them towards the end. Or if you're the opposite, you could put more in the morning, more in the end. You could also fast a little bit. Intermittent fasting is something that I do, especially as my calories get very low. I think people tend to wake up not as hungry in the morning. So if you could wake up, delay that first meal, and then you could start eating. But meal frequency is not going to be a game changer. It can just help manage when you get hungry. So try and pick those days you get hungry, those moments in the day when you get hungry, and put meals in there. Now, these things you need to avoid. They're fat loss killers. Too much cardio, not enough strength work, under eating for too long, weekend binges. I see this so much. Like you think, I've had such a good 5 days, let me go out on Saturday night, boom, 2,000 calories extra, wake up hungover on Sunday, boom, Domino's to make myself feel better. Week completely undone, if not even more undone in a calorie surplus. Inconsistent routine. Routine is going to be your absolute key. Program hopping every 2 weeks. I want you to be consistent. We already mentioned that. And then the all or nothing mindset. So if you fall off the plan, like you do have a day when you've got to go off, you've got a birthday, you've got a vacation, like it's not nothing. You don't just go, okay, well, I fucked this day, I might as well fuck off the rest of the month. No, you don't want to do that. You want to get back up on the horse the very next day, which is very, very important. So I think it's very, very important that you check those things, monitor those things, and I hope that all of those points that I talked about today can help you get rid of those stubborn body fat parts. And in general, get rid of body fat this summer. If you like this style of video, or perhaps you go through this and you think, wow, this is hard to understand, I can't quite implement it myself, I do a completely free diagnostic call for anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about how we can work and how we can help you. I'm going to put the link as the first comment or in the description box. You can just click that link. You'll go through my process, you'll book a call with me one-to-one, and I'll go through every single thing in your life and probably give you some good tangible tips on the phone, as well as let you know how we work. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, drop a comment. We'll see you very soon, everybody. Peace and love. Bye-bye.